What's up, beautiful people? How's everybody doing out there? This is your boy TW Suggs, and you are tuned into the Tommy Talk Show. Listen, before we get started, I'm just sending you all those vibes. Do you feel that music? Do you feel it? Do you feel it going through you? Yeah, that's all for you. That's all for you. Hopefully it's making you smile. Hopefully it's making you feel good. Hopefully it's making you laugh. I see that smile on your face. I see it. Yeah. And we're going to have a great time today. I promise you we're going to have a great time today. We have an awesome show lineup for you today. I'm in the studio again with my homie, Keith Pelzer, the one and only Grammy Award-winning producer, who is our engineer and our producer for the show. And if you don't know this guy has a brilliant mind. I bounce a lot of thoughts off of him. He keeps me focus. So big shout out, Keith, give people their flowers. So Keith, thank you for everything you do for us, man, on the Tommy Talk Show. We appreciate you and we love you, man. And big shout out to team. So listen, y'all, so I know it's been a while, right? I took a break for the summer just to go ahead and, get myself attuned and all that good stuff, just to get myself in alignment. And I also spent some time trying to get some awesome content for you all, right? We're projecting into 2024. So I have my team looking at some things that we want to present to you all. I also had a great conversation that lasted for like 30 seconds with one of our guests that also points us in the direction that we want to go into and reference the content that we want to share with you that will help inform, inspire, and heal our community. All right, but before we get into the show, you already know I have to do what I do, which is the community question. So the community question, for those of you who are just tuning in, the community question is a question that I ask to the community via Facebook, Instagram, etc. And I allow you all to weigh in, and I read your responses on the show, and I give you a shout out for being so kind to share your responses. So the community question this go around was, what was your favorite video game growing up? What was your favorite video game growing up? And now I know we're in the Xbox generation, and I understand that we up to PS5 and we got Nintendo Switches, but at the same time, there's nothing like an Atari. There's nothing like a Nintendo. There's nothing like a Sega Genesis. So I reached out to you all to ask you what was your favorite video game, and you guys lit it up. So real quick, for me, I'll go first. So one of my favorite video games is Super Mario Brothers, the original, the first one on Nintendo. Yeah, I can't go that low. But yeah, that was my favorite one. I didn't like Duck Hunt because it just felt like it was animal cruelty. So I stayed away from Duck Hunt. But Super Mario Brothers was one of my favorite video games. And actually to this day, it still is. So listen, I'm going to go on social media so I can look at all of your responses, the things that you all shared. So I have Mahogany Megatron. Thank you, good brother. I know Mahogany personally. Thank you for your feedback, man. He says, I love Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the one that was for Sega Genesis. There's nothing like a Sega game. Spyro, the Legacy of Kain series, and Soul Reaver. My homie Aisha Winfield. Aisha came into the studio for us one time to do an interview. We will have Aisha back soon. She said Pac-Man. Now, I love Pac-Man, but I am horrible at Pac-Man. I die every time I go for that cherry. Then I have Julian's Living. He says all sports games, especially from Madden to 2K. And let's see what you all are saying to me on Facebook. Face Bizzle. I know I saw my cousin say something about Pac-Man, and let me see. I gotta see what you all are saying to me on Facebook, right? Here we go. So I have Yvette Sims. That's my cousin. Cuzzo, what's up, boo? She says Pac-Man. She said, no one could beat me. I always had top score. I only needed 25 cents for hours of entertainment. I know that's right. I had Aunt BJ, Belinda Jackson. She said Centipede. I have Sade Massey, who came with the heavy gun, said Mario, Sonic, Duck Hunt, Tetris. And she also mentioned Pac-Man. And I also have Derek Killebrew, who says Street Fighter 2. Yo, Street Fighter 2 is nothing like Street Fighter. And then I have Tavia Baker, who said pitfall. No, moonfall. Pitfall and moon patrol. All right, y'all. So thank you so much. I love asking those questions to you all so we can go ahead and get that community going. I know some of you will probably, even for those of you who are watching, you see I have this shirt on here that says, the sweatshirt. It says, God loves tater tots. I know you're like, what does that even come from? What does that even mean? But in order for you to figure that out, you got to get my book. So anybody who does not know, I have a book called Running Through the Rain, My Stories, Reflections, and Kind Reminders. All right. And in this story, in the book, it explains this story, how God loves tater tots. So you got to get the book. It's available on Amazon. It's available everywhere books are sold, even Walmart.com, all those places. All right. So listen, let's get to the main thing, the main event. So today's conversation is really centered around college access. And I felt it was important for us to have this conversation because, one, even though there's a lot going on in the world where there seems to be like um, two competing thoughts where, is college still necessary? Because many people are becoming entrepreneurs, and you have other people saying, yeah, college is still necessary. I do feel that college is still necessary because I want my doctors to have gone to college. I want the person looking at the x-ray to have gone to college, or have some type of formal education, right? So I wanted to build an opportunity for us to have a conversation about college access. So we're going to be talking about, what is it like for first generation college students, right? That can be a very traumatic time for somebody. We want to talk about resources that's out there. We're going to talk about how you can navigate the college debt that comes along with going to school. And we just want to provide you with all the resources and information that you need to make a good decision for your student. And not only that, but for you may be an adult who's like, I'm thinking about going back to college. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's for me. So we want to make sure that we provide an opportunity and a space where you could get some information as well. Personally speaking, I am an adult learner. I did go back to college. I did go back to college when in my adulthood, and actually I just finished a master's program in 2022, and there was a theme there where it felt like there were a lot of people, and some of my classmates were 40s, 50s, and 60s. And before even applying, they were like, I don't even know if this is for me. I don't know if I can keep up. I don't even know what the optics will look like if I am this age and I'm sharing the same space with somebody who's in their 20s. I don't even know if I, can navigate that landscape. Everything is virtual now. Everything is in person now. So we just wanted to provide you also with some encouragement. If college is something, if you're an adult learner, and I really feel led to share this. If you are an adult learner and it is on your heart to go back to school, trust and believe that if it's on your heart, that you already have the grace needed, the intelligence needed, the ability that you need to go back to school, if that is something that is on your heart to do. So go ahead and make it happen. Get the information that you need, find the support systems and the support groups that you need to help you navigate that process. But if that's something that's been on your heart, and stop making excuses like, I don't know if I have enough time. I don't know. There are so many different modalities and so many different opportunities out there. There are weekend classes. There are classes that's 2 days a week. There's classes that may be like, 1 day a week. There's so many options out there. But if that is on your heart and you feel that's something that's being impressed in your spirit, make sure that you make time to go to school and at least get the information and talk to a guidance counselor. All right. So when we come back from this quick break, we are going to have a very dear friend of mine join us, Mr. Thomas Butler. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with the Tommie Talk Show. What's up, everybody? So as I mentioned before, that this episode of the Tommie Talk Show is focusing on college access. We just got finished doing our community question where we asked you all about your favorite video game growing up. And right before me, we're hopping into our first interview with my good friend, also a mentor, Mr. Thomas Butler. So listen, I'm going to read his bio and all the awesomeness that he's done. But I have to tell you that I've known Mr. Butler for a number of years, and as you all know, I bring people on a show who are just amazing people, good hearts, and really are movers and shakers in the community. And I've known Mr. Butler for a number of years, and I've seen him firsthand really impact the Philadelphia area, Atlanta, Georgia area by providing opportunities for families, educators, everybody in the community to come together to discuss college access, how to navigate those challenges, and share resources. So he has a huge network of people. And my last one of my biggest memories with Mr. Butler is we were in the office together, and he may not remember this, but we were in the office together, and I was having a particularly rough day that day, and we were by the mailroom. And at the mailroom, Mr. Butler turned to me, and he just gave me all of this encouragement and everything that I needed to hear at that moment. And it got me through the day. It grounded me. It kept me focused. And you never know the impact that we're making in other people's lives. So, Mr. Butler, I don't think I've ever had an opportunity to thank you for that. But I just want to let you know I really appreciate you and I thank you. And I'm going to read this amazing bio real quick. So that we know who we have in the room. So Thomas Butler is an education consultant specializing in the areas of college access and attainment. Thomas is currently the executive director of Philadelphia College Prep Roundtable, a network of over 300 college access and attainment professionals and advocates across the Philadelphia region. Mr. Butler has convened this network for over 30 years, providing oversight of monthly meetings, conferences, and community communication networks. Some of the things that some of the awards this guy has received is the 2022 Mayor's Office of Philadelphia Citation for Service to the city, the National Association for College Administration's Counseling, the Black Male Engagement Community Leadership Award, and the list goes on and on and on and on. So, Mr. Butler, welcome to the Tommie Talk Show, my friend. Welcome. And I want to ask you this question. You were doing so much, and being that you've stuck in this role, or not even stuck in this role, but that you've been so involved, especially for the past 30 years plus, like what got you engaged or even interested or passionate about college access to make you stand there so long?
Well, Tommy, let me just say this. First off, man, I am so very proud of you. And you and I, we kick it when we were at RHD for a while, and I always was impressed by you, brother. You were for me, and as I know you are for thousands of people, inspiration. Then I'm glad to see you're in this space because
Wow.
I knew you would. You had this messaging, and you and I
Wow.
talked about this. You had this messaging way before when I said you got to share this. So I'm just so happy that God has placed this on your heart to do this like this, and
Wow.
I know this is going to grow tenfold. So okay, let me get to answer your question. Let me get to answer your question. So I I have these long stories that I tell, but I'm gonna try to keep it tight, do certain windows of time. In my early life, from elementary school all the way through my undergraduate degree at college, which I actually too was one of those long. I was not the traditional 4 year college student. I went and really I didn't think college was for me even when I
Mm.
was in college and I left college and went out into the world. I was a music person, so I was in the music business for a long time as a backup musician. My undergraduate degree is in music performance, and I played saxophone for various groups. And so, needless to say, I was a professional musician, but then I wasn't in the inner circle of the politics of music, and therefore I wasn't making no real money. And long story short, so I had a wake up call probably around like my early 30s, and I said, you know what, I better go back. I need to go back and get this degree because I was in a job position, and I'm hoping this might help somebody because they may be living in the same kind of space. And I really want to tell this story.
Hmm.
I I was in a position where I was working in a job that I had a job. It was a job. It wasn't a career. It was a job, but it was a good job. It was a good paying job. It was a state job. And the thing was, is that I saw people who were getting promotions past me.
Hmm.
And I was wondering why I wasn't able to get promoted. And it wasn't any political reason or anything like that. When I looked at the job descriptions or I looked at the promotion levels, next level, I had hit a ceiling because I had not finished my bachelor's degree.
Wow.
And that credentialing of having that bachelor's degree for me at that time meant I could go to that next level. And so I said, you know what? I need to go back. That was God saying to me, you need to go back and get that degree so you can do some next things. And I followed that pathway and went back and got my undergraduate degree. And then the short of the long story is um, I wound up working. When I graduated college that very day, the president of the university asked me to, and there's a story behind this, but again, we don't have a lot of time to talk about this. But long story short is the president of the university saw something in me in my last year of college,
Hmm.
finishing up, and he said, "I want you to come by my office in the morning or Monday morning because it was a Saturday or Sunday when graduation happened." And I went by. He said, "I want to offer you a job in admissions, working and recruiting students."
Hmm.
And I said, "I said, you know what? If it's paying more money and so it's something outside of the work I was doing, I'm not going to go into what I was doing at that time. It was legitimate work, but it was not what I was happy with. I couldn't
Hmm.
have seen myself doing that forever." Long
Yeah.
story short is I went to admissions, found a life there, loved helping people, advising people around their college preparation process. And the history started there back in 1987. And from that point on, it's been where I've been, and I've grown and loved that space. I found my passion point in life, which is why I am where I am. So that's kind of my road.
Wow.
But I found again that was a way of me telling my story inside with other people's story because there were so many other people that was in similar spaces,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what took me there.
Wow. Wow. Mr. Butler, thank you so much for sharing that. First of all, for sharing that story. And man, let me tell you, first of all, just the encouragement. This is what I was telling y'all about this guy. The encouragement, man, it almost made my eyes water. So I really appreciate that, man. And it's important to keep people like that in your life and keep them in your circle. But thank you so much for sharing that with us. Is there, so you mentioned that, that when you were dealing with the college access there and you're doing college access now, are there similar themes that you're noticing in reference to challenges that people are experiencing or that they're trying to navigate when it comes to college? If so, what are some of those things that people are experiencing right now when it comes to college access?
So I think that first off, listening to the public at large, because those of us who live in that space of college preparation, college information, and how that impacts. I think there was this, and I'm going to also go back from a time sensitive perspective, that probably during the Bill Clinton administration. So I'm gonna try to put things in a way that people we can globally get our head around the time frame.
Yes, sir.
So Bill Clinton administration actually really that messaging of college, right? Which is the
Hmm.
public has an issue with.
Hmm.
Because people will line up saying when we started pushing all the college, the vocational stuff, the hands-on working stuff, the textile things got lost.
Hmm.
Even to the point of right. And Tommy, you're too young to remember this, but I can remember when I went to junior high school. And the high school, like in junior high school, every like and again it was a middle school then. It was junior high school, so it was 7th, 8th, and ninth grade, right?
Hmm.
Each year you had, if you were a male, you had some type of shop. You had wood shop, you
Hmm.
had electric, you had drafting or mechanical drawing. You had other kinds of things that kind of got you with your hands, right? So that was a part of the curriculum. So you could have been an academic student or been designated as a so-called academic student, but you still had to do something with your fingers and your hands and textilely.
Yeah.
Young ladies, and unfortunately, this is a time at that time too. Young
Hmm.
ladies weren't in those classes. They put the boys in those shops. The young ladies went to what they call economics. So it was like go to the kitchen and do the kitchen stuff, or
Hmm.
go to sewing class and learn how to sew. I mean, we were still in those days, right? So
Yeah.
this is like again. So when Bill Clinton's administration came along, there was a lot of noise again about access to higher education because we weren't going in those times, and in fact, probably in the when the 1965 when the desegregation happened. So that's all way before Bill Clinton.
Hmm.
But we talking about financial aid and affording financial aid. Um, Fast forward to the Clinton administration, it's like we just amped it up, right? So
Okay.
all the things about going. So the notion was this, Tommy. Certain students from 1965, and I'm being very global, folks, and I'm being very kind of painting a broad brush. So please don't take this like literally note to note, but this is kind of like oversight things.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, we're going to give folks, particularly folks who come from marginalized backgrounds, low income backgrounds, folks of color, folks who are in school districts, for example, who probably are not getting the aspirational elements of all the things that a kid who may be going to a private independent high school would get, right?
Hmm.
So the notion was, though, is that that was a small segment of a school, not the entire school. So when Bill Clinton came along, he was saying every student
Hmm.
should have access to college affordability, college going. Everyone should know, which is the term college access came about because it was about making sure
Ah.
everyone can know what it is to go to college. What happened was federally, the government started putting more money into programming for individuals to go to college.
Hmm.
And meaning first off understanding why go to college, and
Hmm.
then what types of colleges are out there and what do they offer and where does that go. So the messaging got blown up. And then again, like I said, at the same time though, let's plant vocational stuff. So again, and I'm gonna use something very kind of, Tommy, you're too young to remember this, but I can remember in Philly, for example, you could go every 3 blocks and there was a tire shop.
Hmm.
And so people open tire shops, um, and you can own a tire shop. You get your people in the neighborhood get your tires fixed there. You get your oil and lube done there, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And so the notion was we stopped training people how to do that kind of work in high schools, and so some of that got lost. So things got blown up, got out of proportion, balance over
Hmm.
that time frame of college going and college preparation. And I will say we probably did a lot of overemphasizing going to college without, here's the side of it though, the academic preparation for people to go to college.
Wow.
So now you got a subset of people, for example, who are coming from um, high schools who are not, the high schools are not necessarily preparing them academically to be ready to be in college, to do
Yeah.
the rigorous college work.
Yeah.
But we program people are saying, hey, go to college. This is for you. You can do this. Go ahead.
You know what? I think that ties into what my experience was too, because I was not. So it's almost like mixed messaging. Like we're not preparing the students for college, but we're saying you need to go to college. Almost like, hey, you need to go in there and make this cake.
Exactly.
We're not giving you the ingredients, but go in there and make this cake. And honestly, with my own experience, I went to college, and my first year, like I failed out, and that was traumatic. I was like, oh gosh, I can't do this. And it wasn't until I through life and maturity I went back. But I thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, I mean that in all honest and fairness, that's what it was. It was really about again, so here we go. The federal government, somebody very smart, very thought provoking, research wise, thought about some things and said, hey, we need to support this, folks, because the data and research was showing that if you had a college degree, and we talk about this today, your probability of earnings will be greatly increased if you the more degrees or credentialing you have.
Yeah.
And that was the message that got out there. And and what happened was we brought this whole boatload of people in to this college going pipeline piece. And then so here's the other side of it. We always talk about the high school, middle school, high school side of it. The reality was the colleges weren't ready.
Wow.
So they weren't ready to take, right, like the Tommy Suggs, the Tom Butlers in, um, not in mass, right? They
Mm.
had programs, they had things for you to help you, support you if you're not like so-called academic college ready. And for the most part, who really shouldered a lot of that, what we call developmental or remediation type of student, were and still is the community colleges. They really are the ones that are the go-betweens. What has not happened over the course of years, from my perspective, is that these two different educational systems, elementary, high school, and then colleges, are talking and really saying,
Wow.
how can we better prepare a Tommy Butler and a Tommy Suggs to make that smooth transition into
Yeah.
college and be successful. Now that's happening more now, but I'm going back to the Bill Clinton administration thing. It's like, let's create these opportunities. The opportunities were created, but higher ed wasn't ready for the mass influx, and therefore we had a lot of folks who went in. We had the Tommy Suggs and the Tommy Butlers that went in, but we weren't ready. They weren't ready, and next thing you know, we're out of there, right? So we part ways.
Wow. Wow. Let me ask you a question. And we have about 5 more minutes. Let me ask you this question. So I think that that's something that we're still even seeing today, right? Where we may have schools that may not, for like you said, the Tommies and the Tom Butlers of the world, may not be providing the resources or the help families and students build capacity so that they can be successful in the college environment. So what advice for a mom, what advice would you give if you were talking to a mom right now who's getting ready to send her son off, and that may be their high school experience, and she wants them to go to college? That's what they both said. Hey, this is the next step for you. What advice would you give them, and what resources are out there for them to help them navigate that transition?
So, so I'm going to say number one, starting with high school around preparing for college, if that is in the trajectory for a young person, needs to start sooner than high school. Preparation needs to start sooner.
Hmm.
Because if you're going to go to, for example, middle school, you need to have certain courses to be ready to do rigorous high school courses.
Yeah.
You can't do physics and calculus if you can't do basic algebra. And if you can't do basic algebra, that means you got to learn basic math. So
Yeah.
this all is a trickle down effect of going backwards, right? So we have to start earlier. And as families, whether you're the single parent or whether it's a wraparound around the child, the family, and whole wraps around it, you need to understand how to navigate the process and strategically plan sooner.
Hmm.
And so within the time frame we have left, and what I'm suggesting is the the parents have to become students of the game.
Wow.
This is a game. This is a chess game. This is not checkers.
Hmm.
This is chess, because you're planning for something that could be 8 to 10 years out, but you got to start 8 or 10 years prior to be
Hmm.
prepared and ready for it. There are very smart people who are out there who do vocational work, but they could have gone to college, right? Not to, and they could be doing lots of other things because they got the mind power. If you can change a tire, you can get a college degree, and we don't got time to go into that. But my point is that the mind can do those things. It's just that we have to, the mind just don't absorbs it all at once. So families, the other thing I want to say for families, particularly if you send your child to public school, you have to be part of their process. You can't turn their education over to the educational system in and of itself. You have to be involved or engaged in that process. And that means if you don't know it, or if you don't think you're smart enough to be in, I shouldn't say smart enough, if you don't think you have the time enough to be in that space, find someone like a Tom Butler who will help you with it. We should not all be doing this alone. This is a community process. This is a community issue, and we need to work together. And so there are people out there. You may have to do a little bit of investing of some dollars, but you will invest in other things for yourself, right? So if it's about your kids, you need to invest in your students. You need to get the right people in there. Folks who got money, folks are privileged, they invest in their students. Now, they may have more money, but at the end of the day, if we want our child to be successful, we will find ways to do that. We will do that with sports, right? We could be super poor, but we'll make sure that kid. We're gonna make sure our son or our daughter gets in that AAU program, and y'all know what I mean. That AAU program ain't no cheap thing. That ain't free recreational sports. You gotta pay to be in that, right? So I'm just saying, it's a bigger process, and so what I'm about is strategic planning and making sure that we're going the right direction, because once you get there, then college will be affordable because your son or daughter will be eligible for scholarships and will be able to go wherever they want to. But it's all strategic planning. You got to plan from elementary school all the way through.
So something that you shared was how you got into the psychology of how we sometimes you got into the psychology of how we prioritize our lives, and based on what we're prioritizing, that's where our dollars go to. So, and it reminds me of something that Ryan Killebrew shared. We had an episode for community wellness and beauty, and one of the things she said we're so quick to get the latest Jordans for our kids, and we're so quick to get them the Coach bag, and we're so quick to get them this. But she said, why not put it in I think she said a UGMA or a UTMA or something like that, and we that word. But she said, won't you take that money and invest in their future? She said, because with her experience, she says that she's seen where other people, where students, they just come up and say, here's a check, and everything is already paid for because their parents have already made that investment. Now, let me say this. Now, we live in the real world. So there are some parents who are like, you know what, my child is in elementary school, and I can hop on that right now. Let me get to that. Let me start planning their future. Let me start getting them some resources, some families, and start building some community around him or her so that they can go ahead and move forward in that direction. But I do also feel that there's a parent who's watching or listening who's like, all right, my baby is in the 11th grade and I haven't done any of this stuff, and I'm doing the best I can, but I still need some resources and I still need some direction. I know I'm a little late to the game, but this is something that me and my son, or me and my daughter, this is something that we want to do. So for parents, so you gave us the long term, but is there something that's short term that a parent who already has a student that's in high school right now that they can do to help ensure their student success?
Yeah. So first off, we have to be honest. Okay. And when I say honest, I mean, in other words, if you're in the 11th or 12th grade, pretty much the high school, the grade school career is done. So the story has been written.
Yeah.
Right? You can't go back, for example, and the child hasn't taken the right academic courses. They can't go back and take those courses over again. Well, they could, but it'll take them forever. So the point of the matter, I guess, using that example, the point of the matter is we have to do an honest assessment of where we are, right? And so we may not be able. while college is, we want and we will do college, it may not be Harvard,
Yeah.
or it may not be, and it may not be Howard either, or it may
Yeah.
not be Hampton, right? It may be that we may have to start at community college. Remember, it's not about where we start; it's where we finish.
Yeah.
So you
Yes,
can
sir.
still get to Harvard, but your route from where you are from 11th to 12th grade may be that you have to do some other things first to get to the end game. So it's understanding where we are in the process. I tell students and families a lot of times, for example, about scholarships. People ain't giving to you scholarships because you look good. But there might be one or two of them out there that might be because you look good. But the reality of it is that if you're not scholarship marketing material, you're not going to have the broadest look at it. So the point of the matter is, yes, is college attainable for 11th to 12th grader? Yes. Are there institutions? There are over 3,000 universities, colleges, institutions of higher education in the United States. Okay. Um, you would need to do a real evaluative assessment as to where you would enter a door that will support you. So really it's about the support with what you need as a student and family, meaning that if you're a top academic student, you're probably going to have more options of where you can go. But if you haven't been doing well in high school, you have potential and all the elements of doing well, but you just haven't been maximizing that while you're in high school. There are places you can start and you're right off the bat and then move in. So there are opportunities. It's not out the way for anybody to go to college. We all, those of us who are in the college access space, said we can get you almost anywhere to college. We can do that. The question is, do you have all of the elements of staying? And I will say, based on at least Tom Butler, probably Tommy Suggs, we weren't given the right guidance and the right information as to where to start in order to be successfully be able to finish. Now, did we finish? We absolutely did finish, and we achieved even further. It took us a little longer to get there, but that's okay too, because guess what? We got there.
We got there.
Right? We got there. We didn't run the 100-yard dash. We may have did the 400 yards around the track, so to speak, or we ran a marathon, but we did finish the marathon.
We finished the marathon.
So the point of the matter is, I'm using a lot of metaphoric stories here. Seek out families. I would start with, if you're in high schools, seek out your high school counselor. If you don't think your high school counselor is not giving you the right information or enough information, you can come see a Tom Butler, and I'll help you find somebody who's there. If you are an adult and you want to return to college, I'm going to throw out the name of an organization for the Philadelphia folks. I would seek out Graduate Philadelphia. They are in the business of helping returning adults go to college and finish. But there are a lot of other organizations that either come with a very low price point or no price point at all. They're just they're just there from the community standpoint, and they can help you. So I gave Tommy my all of my social media connections. You can reach out to me through my social media. I'm here to help you. I mean, I'm here to help the community.
Mr. Butler, thank you so much for that, man. Thank you. So listen, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show right now for this part of the interview. Mr. Butler, real quick, give people your social media handouts and we'll go ahead and hop out, and then we'll hop into our next interview. You muted.
I'm sorry. Thank you again, Tommy, for letting me come on and share. And I'm always available to come back whenever you need me. The best way to reach me, folks, is on social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, is Tom, spelled with a TH, THOM, Tom Educates. Tom Educates, plural. And then you can just also email me at tomeducates@gmail.com.
Excellent. Mr. Butler, thank you so much, man. We're definitely going to have you back on the show.
You my guy.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the Tommie Talk Show. What's up, beautiful people? Listen, we just wrapped up an amazing interview with Thomas Butler, right from PCPR. And right before me, listen, I have the one and the only, I was able to nail it down, Sonia Lewis, the student loan doctor. Sonia, thank you so much for being here. I know we were trying to coordinate schedules and whatnot, but thank you so much. I appreciate you. How are you feeling today?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for making space for me. I'm excited about today's conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. So listen, Sonia, I'm going to hop right on into this. So you are the like there aren't any other student loan doctors as far as I'm
Not
concerned.
that
You
I
are
know of.
the the student loan doctor, and
Mhm.
I follow you on Instagram. I've known about you for years. I think Craig Smith, shout out to Dr. Craig Smith,
Hey,
is
Craig.
the person who connected me to you. He had an event at your office one time
Mhm.
where Nikki Powerhouse was there. Shout out to Nikki Powerhouse.
Mhm.
And I was like, yo, Sonia is so dope. Like your wealth of knowledge, and not just your wealth of knowledge, but just the heart that you have for the community to help people navigate this very challenging thing, which is student loans. So, first of all, what got you interested in even wanting to take on this daunting task?
Yeah, I know. I ask God this every day. Could it had not been makeup? No. My background is in higher education, and that's how I knew and know of Tom. So it's really nice to see him just now as we
Yeah.
transition. And I knew that in higher education, I could make the greatest impact because I really love not only teaching, but I just think that access to information is important, particularly coming from the inner city of Philadelphia. And so when I started the student loan doctor, to be quite honest, it was a really great accident. And so I
Wow.
wasn't like I didn't wake up one morning and go, today I'll take on student loans. I still didn't say that, I don't know. But so what happened, long story short, was I was starting to help people after church understand student loans, and then people kept showing up for these appointments that I never created. So like it was a line. I'm not making this up. It was a line after the church, and they I never forget this. They said, "So we opened the basement for you if you want to, meet the people down there." And I wanted to go
Wow.
home. This is before they serve food. So, I wanted to go home. Anyway, long story short, I was helping people. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, this might be a business, like a consulting
Hmm.
practice. And so I took it very serious. I was doing some work after work. Like I would meet people at like a corner bakery. I was doing stuff on the weekends. And then at the same time, my doctoral degree, I was studying how student loans affect African American women. So I was just already interested in the topic, and I was seeing it in real time because I used to work at a college. And so anyway, long story short, when the business came about, it was already something I was really passionate about. And I felt like, like if you would have did a Google search back then, there was nobody talking about this thing. I mean,
Hmm.
but studentaid.gov, and it was really not easy to understand what was on the website. I'm not trying to be funny. Like now it's easier. They've got a great team of people writing the rules and the policies and the memos much easier. But before it was like another foreign language. So I was like, all right, well, I'll interpret. I remember I used to just call like the lender or the Department of Education website hotline and just ask random questions that people were asking me. And then I just start making a catalog of these things. And from a practitioner point of view, I already understood financial aid well because I was helping adults enroll into college. And so the whole point here I'm making is I was already doing the work.
Yeah.
And so let me tell you what happened. Long story short, I never forget. I said, I want to price this out. I want to see, because everybody needs extra money. And I
Hmm.
was like, well, I'll set the appointment for $50 for the hour or something like that. I don't remember. And long story short, people showed up and never missed the appointment. Now, at that time, I was not making 50 an hour at work. So I said, you know what? I'm going to have to use some good old PTO. I believe that's what this is for. So I like filled up my calendar with like all these appointments, time off. I think I went to work at Corner Bakery from like 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's a funny backstory. Long story short, I remember leaving that day inspired. Like this is like real. Like people are showing up, they're making their payment there, and to leave that day on top of my PTO making what I couldn't make, I was just like. I was like, yeah, we might be on to something. But beyond income, the impact for me has been amazing to date. From what we are just being reported, we don't even know the numbers unreported. It's about 30 million in loan forgiveness we've assisted with. So the impact is there outside of the, don't worry about income. Income comes if impact exists. So it's been really, really good. And I'm a little tired, because it's a lot. Biden changes stuff every 2 days. My God. Who is over there making these policies? I don't think I knew how good I had it before the pandemic. The pandemic had challenged me and my business to be creative. Like, things change. I'm not making it up. Like every 2 days, the studentaid.gov website re-updates their website and their verbiage like I've never seen. Like I have to literally read line by line. I'm like, okay, today it says they took that sentence off that said, and these things are important because this is what people are holding on to in terms of loan forgiveness or being eligible for certain programs. So I'm really proud of the work that we're doing, but it's not easy. Like when I first started, it's that bad to say out loud. This is like real work. Have been I could, stay and work for that though. So, but we're having fun. I think the community that I've built, I think that this is a way for them to celebrate themselves and celebrate loan forgiveness and be vulnerable about what they owe. And nobody's asking you questions like, Tommy, why'd you take out $100,000? I mean, that's your business. I have nothing to do with that. You just arrived here with the monies that you owe, and you probably never said what you owe out loud before, and now we're helping you. So it's been an interesting journey. So it's been good.
Wow. Sonia, first of all, like just thank you again for taking on that daunting task, especially um because a lot of that, like you said, it is a completely different language. I know I get stuff from, I think it's AES or
Mm-hmm.
whomever, and I'm like, I don't understand nothing y'all just said. And then it says, if you have any questions, call 1-800. I have a bunch of questions. And here's the thing, I have questions, but I don't know what they are because I don't know what you just
Right.
said. You know what I mean? So
That's
let me
good.
ask you a question. With all the information that you have access to, um what are just some key takeaways, some
Mhm.
quick points that you would, or tips or advice that you would give to people as it relates to student loans?
I think the thing is in this season, you have to be informed. So, studentaid.gov really is your best friend to understand what's going on with your loans. Even more so than what your lender's site might tell you, because the lenders are changing. They're coming, they're going, they're being brought and it's switched. So, you need to log in, create a free login, and see who owns your loans, see how much they say you owe. You'd be surprised. I'm on some phone calls with different people, and they're logging in real time with me, and then like they start screaming like they're on the Price is Right. And I'm like, what's going on over there? And one time it was like a dramatic phone drop, like, and I thought the person had fell out. Well, she did. She passed out or something like it. She got up and she was sobbing. So I'm like, I thought somebody hit her. I didn't know what was going on. But long story short, she logged in and saw like 200,000 forgiven. So the thing is, people not even logging in. They might be forgiven because of the new account adjustment rule. If you had your loans originated 20 years ago, they're just going in and clearing out loans. And it's like
Wow.
you had them for 20 years. Like, you should be going. So that's happening. And then people are eligible for public service loan forgiveness. They're eligible from income based for payment that they don't know about. There are new plans for that. They're eligible for borrower's defense. That's the greatest act of forgiveness happening. Like if you went to one of those schools that were for profit, you are eligible. Like,
Mm.
and you can keep your degree. Now I don't know what it's worth in the marketplace, but they'll let you keep it. They just want to, refund you. Sometimes even cut you a check. So I just think that right now we're in a season in an age of information, and if you don't go and pursue that, if you don't go and take advantage of these things, nobody's going to call and knock on your door. At best, you get an email,
Mm.
maybe a letter, maybe. But I think our platform's so important, and I have to remind myself this. Like I was listening to a podcast earlier about staying motivated. Every day, I have to go online and say the same thing. Now, I might say it in a different way. I might say it in a more colorful way or funny way, but I am really repeating the same thing. And to see hundreds of people show up every day, I'd just be so confused. I'm going to repeat myself. It's no expectation for me to do anything different. But it's important because people are not going to stop their day,
Mm.
log in, go online and read and see what they're eligible for. But maybe if you attended one of our sessions and I say something that strikes a chord with you, you'll move into action when we're done.
Wow, wow. Thank you for that. And you know what? I'm gonna be honest, and I'll own this for my listeners. Like I have not gone onto the website to
Oh,
see.
Lord.
Well, I know, right? I know. So you and I will be connecting because I do need a session.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me ask you a question. So how can because we have like 2 more minutes in the interview, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that people are able to connect with you if you have any questions. So and let me say
Yeah.
this too. I'm across the street real quick. I don't know if you heard. I don't want to call it a testimony. I'll call it a story. I don't know if you heard Sonia's story, where she just shared at the beginning of our interview about how she got involved in the work. You never know the path God will take you on. You
Mm-hmm.
never know, and just being open to the steps, and I just feel so led to encourage somebody. Just do it step by step. Don't let the whole process overwhelm you. Do not let the whole process overwhelm you. Take it step by step. Hold God's hand. He'll lead you through everything that you need. He'll provide the resources. He'll provide the people. He'll provide the network. Whatever it is you're
Mm-hmm.
sleeping on, whatever it is you haven't been moving on, move on it while you still have time. Sonia, let me ask you a question. So I'm crossing the street
Yeah.
back over. So let me ask you a question. How can people, first of all, when is your next session? Do you
Mm-hmm.
still have slots open? And if so, how can people get seats?
Yeah.
And how can people get a hold of you if they have questions or if they need to set up a session with you personally?
So you can go to our website, drpleasehelpme.com. That's where you can just start with a discovery call or a consultation. And then if you are on Instagram, that's where we like live in terms of content, I would say there in YouTube. You can go to the Student Loan Doctor on Instagram. Now, what happens is we do classes almost every day or every other day, somewhere between either 12 p.m. or 9 p.m., sometimes twice a day. And as we go into repayment, which starts October 1st, we're going to be doing more and more classes. We have like a little countdown that's beginning on our page towards repayment. We just want people to be informed. And the
Yeah.
cool thing is, your payment might be super uber affordable, or it might be $0, or I just can't stress this enough. uh, I would say, particularly if you are like in your 40s or uh, end of your 30s, you're probably not going to have these loans much longer with this 20-year clause that they implemented. So
Mm.
you gotta log in and be aware of what's happening with your loans. But like if you don't know, and we don't make people feel bad, we actually take every consultation with the assumption you don't know anything, because I
Mm.
don't know what you know versus somebody else. I would say schedule a consultation, and you could start off saying, "Hi, I'm Tommy, and I don't know anything." Okay,
Mm.
Tommy, you have your logins for, and then we can show you what you need to know, because ignorance is expensive, knowledge is free. And
Yeah.
so and if you just think about what I just said, a lot of people are missing out on the greatest act of loan forgiveness because they don't have the right information or they're not checked in. So check in, be informed. We don't bite, these loans don't bite. But wouldn't it be so powerful if we could see our community in their 30s and 40s have no loans? Like, how financially powerful that's going to be. Do you know the housing market is going to look like? Do you know what the real estate market is going to look like? Do you know what the
Mm.
stock portfolios are going to look like? Do you know what your mental health is going to
Wow.
look like? Do you know what
Wow.
your children's life is going to look like? Do you know what your grandchild's life is going to look like? Because you
Come
decided
on.
to go to a free seminar. So, like, that's just how deep this thing is, because may my child and grandchild never know what a student loan is. And that's the goal. If we're listening to this show today, we're probably all around the same age bucket, or even if you're a little older, you have an opportunity to make your last name be something financially significant. Nobody remembers people, Tommy, when you leave this earth. Nobody say he loved Coca-Cola. No, he left some property. He
Come
left a
on.
recreation center. He was a great donator to the church.
Yeah.
He did Rosa Park Hall. I don't know, like, you
Yeah.
can't do that out without some money.
Come
And let's
on.
get rid of the thing that's taken away our community's money the most, student loan debt. So I'm really passionate because it's not just about these student loans, it's who these student loans and what they represent that we're not talking about.
Yeah.
So that gets me fueled up every day because I know when you hit me up and say, girl, because I attended your class, like I got screenshots for days. It's hard to have a bad day around here that somebody got 350,000 forgiven. Well, I know that means that her last name is a little different if we do this thing right.
Wow.
You know, now you can get the 4 bedroom or the quad, or you can get the little apartment building, and now you can set your child up, and now they could be like it's just stuff
Yeah.
that wasn't going to happen before. You already owned a home before. It was just in paper form. So
Yeah.
let's let's get some keys.
Wow. Wow. Let's get some, y'all hear that? Let's get some keys. Yes,
Yes.
indeed. Sonia, thank you so much, my friend. What are your Instagram and Facebook handles and YouTube? What are your
Yep.
social media handles?
So let's do Instagram, the Student Loan Doctor, YouTube, the Student Loan Doctor LLC, I believe it is. And if you just Google the Student Loan Doctor, we do dominate with our SEO. So very proud of that. Here's a blog post a day, and just find us. And I tell people, if you get to something that says Student Loan Doctor and you don't see a little black girl, just click out. That is not me. That is not me. I am a little black girl. You'll see it. Now my hairstyle changes, but you get the point. But we're not really that duplicated. I'll say this is the last thing that's funny. I am looking for the competitors. Where are they, darling? Would they
Come
like to come
on.
help? We've got 48 million Americans. I'm like, is it one? No. All right, so I'll just keep showing up every day, but it's working, and I'm glad at the work that we're doing.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Sonia, thank you so much for joining us. We definitely have to
Yes,
have
thank
you
you.
back. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the TOMMIE Talk Show. Thank you so much, everybody. That is our show, the TOMMIE Talk Show. I'm your host, TW Suggs. Today's show was about college access. We had Thomas Butler and we had Sonia Lewis, the student loan doctor. I'll talk to you all later. Stay dope, stay beautiful. Peace.